There has never been a better time than now to start building your smart home. With the launch of Matter in late 2022, and with the first generation of Matter smart home devices being showcased at CES 2023 right now, there are a lot of reasons to be excited. There's a lot of innovation happening right now in the smart home space, and if you've been put off by just how complicated smart home tech has been in recent years, you're in luck because it's about to get an awful lot simpler. Let me explain. My name is Stephen and welcome to Hey Techie. We are a smart home channel dedicated to bringing you the best tips, tricks and reviews for all of the latest gadgets in your smart home, with a particular focus on Apple HomeKit, Siri shortcuts and of course Matter. I've been building my smart home for over 5 years at this point, and so in this video I'll be sharing with you my top 5 tips for getting your smart home started in 2023. So let's get into it. So you want to start building your smart home. First things first, it's important to recognise that the smart home era today is a very different one than it was even just a couple of years ago. And importantly, thanks to Matter, smart home technology has just entered a brand new era. If you start building your smart home today, you're entering the market at arguably one of the best times possible, since a whole wave of new products are coming this year. This of course begs the question, what can these products do, and indeed what is the benefit of even having a smart home in the first place? Well, one of the biggest benefits is that you can automate your home to make your life easier, and automating certain tasks in your home will allow you to get more done, increase your productivity, spend less time on chores and keeping the house in order, and spend more time doing the things that you want to be doing. The best part is that automation can also help cut the cost of living by reducing your bills, sometimes in very dramatic ways. That brings us to tip number 1. Think about what would make your life easier if it were automated. Automating certain tasks in your home allows you to get more done, be more productive, and as part of that it will also free up a lot of your mental capacity in your day-to-day life. Have you ever found yourself frustrated because you or a loved one has left all the lights on again? Or have you made an expensive mistake because you've accidentally left the heating on all night? Or perhaps worse, have you ever had a leak that caused a huge amount of damage to your home because it went undetected for so long? These are all challenges which can be easily solved using smart home technology. My first tip would therefore be, before you even start looking at devices and ecosystems to buy, make sure that you make a list of things that you would like to automate in your home. This list can be the basis on which helps you decide later on about what product ecosystems are best for you based on your needs, and not just what somebody else says would be good for you. Tip number 2, decide which smart home ecosystem to use, and ideally choose HomeKit. Once you've got an idea about what you want to achieve with your smart home, you'll next need to choose a core ecosystem to use. For almost everyone watching this video, this is going to be a choice between which smart home assistant you want, either Google's Home, Amazon Alexa, or Apple Siri. Up to now, the decision between Google, Amazon and Apple has been a really important one. And in fact, it is a decision that has defined many smart homes, and in fact every smart home that has been built before 2023. The reason for this is that there has been a lack of interfunctionality between both Amazon and Google, and that of Apple. Every smart home device is designed to work with one or more ecosystems, but if you buy a smart plug that works with Alexa and Google but not with HomeKit, then you're out of luck if you want to be using it within an Apple setup, and that smart plug is ultimately useless to you. This means whilst it can be quite easy to switch between an Amazon and a Google smart home, it's a very expensive switch to move from one of them to Apple, because you'll have to purchase a whole new suite of smart home devices that specifically work with Apple. And that is an expensive process, as I can tell you, because this is exactly what I had to do in 2020 when I switched my smart home to an Apple-based one and founded this channel. However, this is now all set to change with the launch of Matter devices this year. To put it simply, Matter is a new standard which aims to simplify the whole smart home experience. In short, a Matter-supported device like this EVE Energy smart plug will work with Google, Amazon and Apple, as well as other smart home ecosystems, and this is great news for consumers because it means that if you want to change down the line, then you can do so much more simply and you won't need to replace all of your smart home devices. The question is then, why should you choose HomeKit? Well, Apple HomeKit is Apple's smart home interface, and I should caveat this point in the video by saying that HomeKit will not be for everyone. Having said that, there's two main reasons why I think you should choose HomeKit, and you should bear these in mind when making a final decision. The first is the principle that privacy should be at the heart of every smart home, and it's this selling point that has always been to Apple's advantage. Apple has been always strong on privacy, developing privacy-centric features like HomeKit Secure Video, and I see no reason why this will change anytime soon. After all, it's part of Apple's ethos. The second reason is that if you and your family are all iPhone users, then Apple HomeKit should be the obvious choice for you, especially given how integrated HomeKit and iOS device ecosystems are. You're also going to be best placed to get the most out of having Apple smart speakers like the HomePod Mini around your home, and so together they'll complement one another and you'll be getting the best value for money, I feel. Tip number 3, look for retrofitting smart appliances first. Another thing to keep in mind as you build your smart home is that you should start with retrofitting smart appliances. Retrofitting has the advantage of being able to make the most of your existing home's infrastructure, and this way you'll see a lot of return on your smart home purchases very quickly. For example, SwitchBot offer a whole range of retrofitting devices like their curtain rails, and that means that you can make almost any curtain smart without having to replace the entire unit, which can be very expensive to do. Similarly, their button-pressing robots can exert a fair bit of force, and since they're pretty small, you can mount them on almost anything from light switches to coffee machines. Also, these bots can be moved around your home as you experiment and get a better feel as to what you want automated in your home. Don't forget that the experimenting phase is all about having fun, and it's part of the process, so don't take it too seriously and work out what works for you. In great news for HomeKit users, as of March 2023, SwitchBot will be rolling out Matter support to their devices, which means that soon they will be able to integrate directly with an Apple-based setup, which they previously couldn't do so before. We've been publishing lots of CES-related updates over at heytechie.co.uk this week, so if you want to find out more about SwitchBot, Matter, and the other devices that are coming out soon, there's some exclusive content up on our blog for you to enjoy. The link is in the description below. Tip number 4, think about your family and guests. Another thing to keep in mind as you build your smart home is to think about your family and guests. Whilst it's likely that most of them will be able to adjust to a smart home quite easily, there will be a few people that will struggle with it, especially if they're older or if they have quite strong accents. This means that you'll also need to consider how you'll help others adjust to using your smart home. I would really recommend looking into some smart home buttons and switches early on, so that you can build up and develop the physical side to your smart home in tandem with other devices. This is something which I personally underestimated when starting out, so make sure that you put some thought into this process. If you can, wired-in wall switches like Lutron mean that you can control normal dumb bulbs using your smart home assistant, but also keep an element of physical controls if somebody doesn't like or want to use a voice assistant like Siri. Tip number 5. Help your smart home stay reliable with good internet and Thread. Finally, the last thing to consider is how you can keep your smart home performing at all times. After all, there are few things as frustrating as when your smart devices just don't work. The first thing to note is to make sure that you've got excellent Wi-Fi coverage throughout your home. If your Wi-Fi based smart home devices can't connect, they'll be no use to you whatsoever, and so investing in a good Wi-Fi provider and having good coverage using extenders in your home is an absolute essential. Another emerging technology in the smart home world right now is Thread. Thread offers an alternative communication protocol to Wi-Fi, allowing Thread devices to communicate with one another, basically using a separate signal, which can relieve a lot of the pressure on your Wi-Fi's bandwidth, which can get used up if there are lots of different smart home devices competing for it. Crucially with Thread, when more Thread devices are added to the network, it becomes even stronger, and the range of these devices is truly excellent. As Thread becomes increasingly popular amongst smart home manufacturers, it's another good thing to keep an eye out for and include it in your smart home early so that you get the benefits of it for years to come. And a final bonus tip to round off this video is of course to subscribe to the channel. Hey Techie is dedicated to reviewing smart home devices and providing useful tutorials and tips helping you to build your smart home and get the most out of your purchases. If you're looking to build an Apple-based smart home, there really is no better place to be, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our future videos. Starting this year, we've also just launched heytechie.co.uk, which includes our brand new blog, which will be updating twice a week, in addition to all of our other YouTube content as well, of course. You'll also find us on social media, so make sure to follow us there as well, and why not let us know if you'll be using any of these tips if you're just starting out. I hope you've had a great start to 2023, and we'll see you next week.